The worst thing about these White House briefings is, there are cameras on it and on you. And of course, they're all watching you back in the studio. You sit there as a journalist, hand in the air like primary school, with that kind of pick me face. And, I'm a 60-year-old guy. I don't want to be seen like that. But of course, you'll be doing that and you get texts from your pals. We can see you.
I know.
It's not great. Mark, you've spent the day in the White House, yeah?
I have indeed, yes, because it was the first press briefing of the new Trump administration. Caroline Leavitt is her name. We're going to get to know well. She is the youngest ever press secretary to hold that position. I sat through the whole news conference and we will dissect it over the next 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's as Trump's team confirmed they plan to hold immigration raids in 3 cities this week. I'm in Chicago. They're calling this ground zero for the immigration raids. It's day 10 of Trump 100 with me, James Matthews.
And me, Mark Stone.
Okay, Mark, well, let's start in Washington, D.C. We had this first White House press conference of the presidency.
Yes, I think most people are probably familiar with the press briefing room of the White House. It's appeared in I don't know how many different films. It's an iconic room. James, do you know what it used to be? It wasn't always a press room.
It used to be a swimming pool.
It did. You're absolutely right. Until the 60s, it was the White House swimming pool, and then Richard Nixon changed it into the press briefing room, but the room itself was packed. The seats were taken by those who have assigned seats, mostly the American media, and then the rest of us were crammed in around the edges to hear Caroline Leavitt make this first press briefing.
How are we? Good to see all of you. It's an honor to be here with all of you.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the easiest place to operate at the best of times. You go in, and as you say, there are names of organizations, American networks and big newspapers against the seats. If there's any vacant seat, then you're allowed to step in. Otherwise, you have to stand at the side, and standing at the side is never a place to be if you want to catch the eye of whoever is at the lectern, is it?
Anyway, we digress. On the issue of the briefing itself, the first thing I'd say is that from the moment she walked in, and she's only 27 years old, the youngest White House press secretary ever, but from the moment she walked in, she, to me, displayed a supreme confidence. I was really struck by it, and it was a confidence that you and I have discussed in previous episodes, that we've seen others within this new administration also displaying a confidence that they have a mandate from the American people to fundamentally change the way things are run, whether that be the federal government, whether that be diplomacy globally, as we've seen from Donald Trump, or whether it be in the press room itself. And from the get-go, with polite firmness, she made the legacy media, quote unquote, she put us on notice effectively, saying, you guys are welcome here. I want you to be here, but you've got to do things on our terms. Tell the truth, is what she said. Well, that has been what many of the legacy media have been telling Donald Trump to do for quite a long time. But effectively, she was saying, this is our house. We'll do things our way. The other message that came out loud and clear was that it's not about just the legacy media anymore.
We welcome independent journalists, podcasters, social media influencers, and content creators to apply for credentials to cover this White House.
I do wonder what the TikTok upsum of the White House press briefing will be in 30 seconds to music. But, the swagger that Team Trump has about them, it doesn't surprise me to hear you say that, she is supremely confident, because around the world, there remain politicians who see a danger in what she calls legacy media. Tough questions, finding the right answer. Donald Trump, he can count on his answer alone, whatever it is, because he has his own audience. He has his own media in that press room and elsewhere. And so the kind of reporting and opinion contained in the mainstream media matters little to him, I think, or his political destiny. He just needs to be Donald Trump. That works for him.
Yeah, and I do think that there potentially could be a problem with a lack of scrutiny if there is a sort of cycle through of quote unquote traditional legacy media and replaced by younger, less experienced, more compliant, perhaps in some cases, reporters. But I didn't actually get the sense from Caroline Levitt that she was going to somehow kick out anyone who was critical of her. And indeed, Peter Alexander of our sister network, NBC, he was pretty hard with some bold questions about what she plans to do with some of Trump's executive orders, how they could impact people. And she took those questions head on. So I didn't get a sense today, certainly, that there would be a lack of scrutiny in the press room. But it just felt as though it would be very, very different.
Yeah, amidst all the talk of newcomers and social media, and listen, good luck to them. But I do hope that everybody who occupies a seat in that press room is in search of accountability rather than just likes. We'll see. One thing, Mark, Levitt, she confirmed something that we'd heard rumours about earlier in the day, yeah?
Yes, I mean, this was one of the more spiky questions. She confirmed that Donald Trump will pause grants, loans, and other federal assistance from 5 p.m. Tuesday here in D.C. This was first revealed in a leaked memo, sparking significant fears that it could paralyze billions of dollars meant for everything from disaster relief to cancer research. A lot of people worried it could impact Medicaid, public health insurance effectively, and compounded by the fact that the online portal appeared to be down today. Well, she was asked about this, and she repeatedly confirmed that it would not impact payments to individuals. But in the last few minutes, interestingly, and I think we'll see this happening time and again, legal issues get in the way for Trump, and a federal judge has, as I say in the last few minutes, issued an administrative stay pausing the start date of the Trump administration's funding freeze until Monday. I think we'll see a lot more of that as lawyers and judges try and get in Trump's way. And I didn't get a question. That's the other bit of news. I was piled underneath about 20 other reporters. So even if she had wanted to come to me, she didn't see me. But what she did do was talk a little bit about immigration. She said that Donald Trump was focused on launching the largest mass deportation operation in American history of illegal criminals. And James, you've been in Chicago today. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it was. They're describing Chicago as ground zero, democratically run sanctuary city, which is probably why it was chosen. And I went to the south side, a Hispanic neighborhood, and the streets are empty. And I spoke to locals, and they said, well, there's a reason for that. That's because people are scared to go out. They don't know what's going to happen. People with papers, people without papers, because these raids, of course, are targeting migrant criminals. But there are also these collateral arrests. These immigration enforcement officers, they say if they bump into anybody who might not be a criminal but shouldn't be here, then they get on the plane as well. So what's happening is that people are remaining indoors. I spoke to people, two youngsters actually, both of whom said their mothers were scared to come out of the house. They were being sent to do jobs because, well, one guy in particular said his mother, 48 years old, came from Mexico decades ago without papers. So she doesn't know what her present or future hold, just scared to go out.
I was really struck by that phrase you used, collateral arrests, because there seems to be a genuine sense of fear that yes, they may be picking up illegals who have committed crimes and who are wrong-uns effectively, but they're going to sweep up, so the people on the ground think, they're going to sweep up others who are paying taxes, have been here for years and want to do the right thing.
Yeah, and collateral arrests, it's a dehumanizing phrase, isn't it? And actually kind of ties in nicely with Kristi Noem, the new Homeland Security Secretary. She was on a ride-along with immigration enforcement in New York. And, you talk about language. She said this on social media, dirt bags like this continue to be removed from our streets. Live this AM from NYC. I'm on it. This is Kristi Noem dressed in ICE uniform, politician as Power Ranger doing the good work. And that is the front on this operation, with which many agree, of course, not just Republicans who backed Trump, but there is widespread support for something effective being done about immigration across the board.
Yeah.
That's the political story. The question is the human story at the heart of it.
Yeah. Well, Caroline Leavitt in the press briefing was asked about immigration, as I said, and not only did she show on TV screens that they'd put in there for the briefing some of the people that had been arrested who were, she said, genuine, proper criminals, and she listed what they had done. But she was asked about these collateral arrests and whether people have to have committed, serious federal crimes in order to be swept up and kicked out. And her answer was interesting because she said, look, if you come across the border illegally, then you are a criminal. And she left it there, but the inference was, therefore, you will be kicked out.
But you know what? They publish, Mark, daily totals, and it seems to be going well for them. 969 arrests today, and they are making arrests higher than the daily average that was made under Biden in his last year. So the numbers are working for them at the moment. But interestingly, on Biden, he was busy on deportation. Indeed, in his first 2 years, there were more deportations than there were during the whole of Trump's first term. The difference is, I think, Biden didn't shout about it, and not for the first time. Trump has schooled him in the PR of politics. And I was reminded about that when I did a FaceTime interview on the South Side with a man by the name of Juan Barboza, a murderer who was in jail for 30 years for murder, was released, wasn't deported when he was set free from jail, but they ultimately caught up with him. He's now in Mexico, minus his passport, living with his mother.
When ICE come arresting me, they came in like 6:30 or 6:45. You're gonna be on 6 something. Pounding the door, man. I thought they were gonna knock the door down. So I opened the door and they slammed me on a wall. They pulled my hands.
What do you think of what has happened, Juan?
After so many years, 30-something years, I've been in the United States and come to another different world, different country, different everything. So I don't know nobody. So it's a little hard. It's hard. But
tell me, Juan, given your history, was it correct that you were deported?
I was doing good, helping with the people. I was giving food to homeless by the railroad. I believe those guys, they miss me too. Because I was cooking, giving food to homeless, and I miss everybody.
And what would you say to Donald Trump?
And man, whatever he's doing is not right. Because everybody would deserve a chance.
Fascinating. So you coming back from Chicago tonight?
Tomorrow. Chicago. Deep pan pizza tonight. Early flight in the morning. Okay, Mark, as always, so much going on. What else has been happening today?
Well, yeah, I mean, plenty. Prime Minister Netanyahu is to be the first foreign leader to visit Donald Trump in the White House. That's going to happen next week. We saw a letter that Donald Trump sent to Netanyahu, which he invited him here and said that they look forward to discussing how they can make peace in the Middle East, across the region, and deal with their mutual foes. And by that, they mean Iran. And so it was interesting to hear Dominic Waghorn's interview with the Iranian foreign minister, which you can find on all our platforms, I am sure, where the foreign minister suggested that he would be up for dialogue with President Trump. I think it's another example of leaders globally not quite sure where they stand with President Trump. Another thing to look for over the day ahead is RFK Jr., Robert Kennedy Jr., who faces the first of his 2 confirmation hearings to be Trump's new health secretary. That's going to happen on Capitol Hill later. And there's been a last-minute intervention from his dysfunctional family. Caroline Kennedy, cousin of RFK Jr., has released a public message in which she says that it is no surprise that he keeps birds of prey as pets because he himself is a predator. Ouch.
The secrets one's cousins could tell about one.
Anyway, that's it for today. As always, if you've enjoyed listening, please do follow our feed, share it with a friend, or send us an email, trump100@sky.uk. Like Victoria, she sent us an email to say, how much pushback is there from within the Republicans controlling the House and the Senate? James?
On a scale of 1 to 10, 0.
Yeah, I would say 0 as well. It's the new world.
It's Trump world, and we just live in it. That's it for day 10 of Trump 100. See you tomorrow for day 11.
Bye-bye.